Okay, welcome everybody to the Trade Apprenticeships and Careers Q&A session. Our two presenters are going to introduce themselves in just a minute, but before they do that, I wanted to go over a couple of Zoom housekeeping things. So today's going to be a Q&A. You should have the option as an attendee to submit any questions you might have in the Q&A panel. That is how we'll be answering all of our questions later, is by going through the Q&A panel. If you have any issues where you're having challenges as well, or you can't hear, you can throw that into the Q&A. I will be moderating that today for all of our panelists. Okay, John and Frank, take it away and introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, John.
All right. So, hi guys. That's me right there, John McIntyre. I am with the Electrical Union, and we are one of the 18 trades here in the North Bay that make up the building trades. We have about 120 apprentices in our current program. Our school is in Santa Rosa, and the apprenticeship program is about a 5-year program. So you start knowing nothing, and then you finish, and when you finish the apprenticeship program, you're able to teach others how to be an electrician, which is pretty incredible. So think about that for a second. And when you're done with that, you're able to, more than likely, able to have a sustainable life here in Sonoma County, purchasing a home and living here. So we'll get more into what we do and how to apply, as this goes on. Go ahead, Frank.
Hi, everyone. My name is Frank Reardon. I'm a business agent for the Plumbers Union Local 38. We primarily do plumbing, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, welding, and steam fitting. And steam fitting is where you put the large boilers and large chillers in. John's program and mine is very similar. We both have training facilities up here in the North Bay, and we're located here locally in Santa Rosa.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just going to stop my share real quick and realize I need to share and optimize for video because we have a video today.
My Monday starts just like anybody else, except I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
The job starts at 6:30, about an hour drive. So I was up at 4:30.
It's not glorious by any means. But I love doing it. It's something different every day.
Yeah, overall, it's cool work. And you gotta learn it. Everything's learning on the job. So that's why you go to school twice a week at night for 6 hours and you work 40 hours a week.
A career as an electrical worker with the National Electrical Contractors Association, NECA, and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, or IBEW, offers extraordinary benefits, including a strong wage package, medical insurance, and a sound retirement program, among many other benefits. This exciting career starts with apprenticeship through a joint apprenticeship and training committee, or JATC Training Center, operated by an IBEW local union and local chapter of NECA.
They give you all the tools that you need to succeed on a job site out here, because you only really have 5 years in the apprenticeship, so you got to get the most out of it while you're being trained.
An IBEW NECA apprenticeship offers apprentices the invaluable opportunity to work on the job, side by side with a journeyman electrical worker, and education in world-class electrical training facilities, unparalleled anywhere in the industry. A career as an IBEW NECA electrical worker opens the door to the possibility of exceptional career advancement, from apprentice to journeyman, estimator, and management roles, to even becoming the owner of your own electrical contracting business.
After I complete my 5 years in the apprenticeship program, I hope to pursue a license as a master electrician.
I just hope somebody gives me the opportunity to run a job like this, or get to the point where I've built my career enough to where, hey, that big job over there, yeah, that's Jordan Vasic's job. That's what he's doing.
But while the prospect of becoming an IBEW NECA electrical apprentice may seem like the right path, working in construction is not for everyone. The real-life rigors of the electrical construction trade and the commitment to an additional 5 years of classroom instruction in a local area JATC trade school, as well as 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, should be understood and accepted prior to applying for your apprenticeship. This will help ensure you are making the right choice.
If you ain't learning on the job and you're just trying to show up to get paid, you know, you ain't gonna really learn too much. In class, they'll do hands-on activities to kind of give you a feel for it. But then on the job, the journeyman will slow down and talk to you and kind of, you know, if you ever have a question, you usually just ask them, and they should be able to stop whatever they're doing and talk to you.
Further, apprentice candidates are expected to possess a mechanical aptitude and a fundamental understanding of algebra and geometry, while being on time and keeping a good attitude, utilizing what has been learned in the classroom, online, and in hands-on training applications, in conjunction with your willingness to listen to and carry out direction as instructed, is imperative. This is not only to ensure the job is done properly, but also for the safety of everyone working on the job site. Your attendance is also required on all work and school days, as well as being prompt, as the combination of quality work, safety, and on-time delivery of every construction project is part of what makes the IBEW the very best in the industry. Workdays in construction are different than in most other occupations. The construction workday may start as early as 6 a.m. and may also extend several hours past a standard 8-hour day.
I'm up at 5:45.
My alarm went off 4:30.
Day starts at 5 o'clock, so I try to be at work and park by 4:30.
No, you got to be in class at 7, ready to go. You're late. Go home.
Although IBEW NECA apprentices and journeymen are paid well for each and every hour worked, you may be required to make special accommodations for extended work days or work a 6 to 7 day week in order to complete a job with a tight deadline. Apprentices are also expected to attend school during the week, either in the evening or during the day, in addition to taking online classes through their local JATC. This places an additional burden on the situation to ensure all schoolwork is completed and done properly. Right from the very first day on the job, apprentices are expected to be dressed appropriately for work. This not only includes being dressed for the weather and potential changes, but also to work safely on a construction site. Weather conditions are often extreme, as electrical workers may be outside in the coldest months, as well as the warmest, with temperatures ranging from well below freezing to well above 90 degrees, with high relative humidity. This is not only a matter of your comfort to work well on the job, but also your safety.
The other day I was in a manhole that we have out there. I was in there for about 5 hours yesterday. My feet were warm.
The work of an electrical worker may even be surprising to some, as apprentices may be required to unload trucks, dig ditches, and build basic structures, in addition to many other tasks.
I had no idea of what I was getting into, the extent of what I was getting into when I got into it. I did not know that electricians build things. I did not know that they tear down things. I figured that we just wire stuff.
We got a delivery coming. The guy's gonna pull it over by the pipe. He's got one skid. Want to get that for me?
You should also be aware that the restroom facilities on most job sites are limited to portable units and will be the only option available.
I never even thought about the restroom situation. Never paid any attention until I had to go to the restroom.
The understanding of your apprenticeship experience, both on the job and at the training center, is the key to making this career choice a success. And we hope this has provided a quality look into the life of an apprentice.
As long as you're there and you want to work, it always goes by smoothly.
It's just a day in the life of, is what I do.
Because, you're outside for 8 hours, it's a taxing day. You're out working physically. I wouldn't say it's easy by any means.
It's not bad. I know people think of construction, they think of dirty, and they think of, oh, it's a man's job, but you know what? It could be a woman's job too.
It's all about working together, being organized, and doing it right.
More information is available here on Electric Prep and through your local JATC Training Center.
Okay. So that was the electricians, of course. We also have Frank here with the plumbers, but that was directly related to the electricians. Our two trades are very similar. You know, in fact, that you know what you saw there. A lot of what you saw there were folks working on building sites. You know, before the building, of course, is completed. So in the trades, in construction, you know, we want to make sure that everybody has a pretty clear understanding of what's going to happen. You know, so you show up there, it's just a field, and then that field gets ripped up, it gets shredded by big machinery, and then they put the building in the ground. You know, starting with the slab, and then they build the whole building up. And we're there every step of the way. You know, the different trades are there every step of the way. The electricians are there pretty much the whole time. You know, so it's a fantastic career. And before I started being an electrician myself, I didn't know anything about electrical. I was a bartender, and they trained me, you know, through the apprenticeship, learning with journeymen, paying attention, going to school at night, working during the day, and getting a paycheck every week. And that's what we're here to talk to you all about is, you know, this is what the trades look like. It's not easy work, you know, so if you're not ready for that kind of work yet, then that's okay. You know, just, you know, do what it is what you want to do. And then when you're ready for, you know, a career, then this is a fantastic career. A job in the trades is a fantastic career.
Did you want to add anything, Frank, before we open up to Q&A?
Yeah, you bet. You bet I will. Thanks for that. Yeah, that was a, you know, the IBW, which is International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers video. You could interchange the apprentices that were interviewed on that with anybody in the plumbing and pipe fitting trade as well as most of the trades, to be honest with you. That's a really good, actually, John, it was very, very well done, because it doesn't glamorize it. It shows you grabbing breakfast at McDonald's in the morning, and you're not sitting in a nice office all nice and warm. So things to consider for sure for those of you that are interested in the building trades. And as John McIntyre mentioned earlier, we represent 2 of 18 crafts that it takes to build a building, and there's a whole bunch there that you can choose from. And what John and I do is represent the unions in each of our respective crafts. And my only recommendation for you, aside from your questions that you're about to ask us, is if you were to choose to go into one of the building trades, do yourself and your family a favor and decide on trade and jump into it with both feet, and associate yourself with the union that represents that craft.
All right.
Okay, so if you all have any questions, they can be really broad, general questions you might have, or super specific. Please use the Q&A now to submit those questions. You should be able to do so via a button, I believe, at the bottom on most devices that says Q&A. Go for that. And then Frank and John, one of the questions that we had submitted beforehand from someone was, what's the difference between the various trades, or at least between your two? Like, what would be something that you would point out as a big difference?
You want it, John?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So I'm an electrician. Frank's a plumber. Think of it like that. And his trade deals with water. Mine deals with power. And so I'll talk about the electricians, and Frank can talk about the plumbing. So we in the electrical industry, you know, we feed the whole building. So the infrastructure, the electrical infrastructure that's within the building. So you go into any room in any building, and if the lights work, that's because we were there. If the power on the wall works, that's because we were there. If the phone works, that's because we were there. And we take the power right from the outside of the building, and we take it all throughout the building through infrastructure, through conduit. And, you know, we pull wire through conduit, terminate it at junction boxes, and then put a device on the end of it like a plug. And then the other end of that wire is plugged into a circuit breaker that's in a panel. And you might see those panels at home on the side of your house, and you see all the circuit breakers. And maybe your dad might have said, or your mom might have said, the circuit breaker went out again. You got to go out there and reset that breaker. So we do all that, from small buildings to large buildings and anything in between. And so anything electrically related, that's us.
Yeah, and on my end of things, again, this is Frank Reardon. On my end of things, obviously, a majority of my membership is made up of plumbers, and we all know what plumbers do. We also do heating, ventilating, air conditioning, as well as welding. So an important thing to know is that we respect each other's craft. So when I'm on any job site, as opposed to the shops that might not be unionized, the union crafts respect the other trade. I don't do electrical, I don't do carpentry. I respect their crafts, and that's their work. I don't take work from them by doing it. I stay in my lane. I do plumbing, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, and that's what I do. I get in the job, I do that, I rough it in, we set finish, and then we're off the job. All the other 17 crafts, including John McIntyre's, is doing their own thing as well, and they stay in their lane. So we're very, I want to say specialized, but I don't want you to think that we're limited in what we do. Our crafts require 5 years of apprenticeship training, for example. So when I say I limit myself to the pipe trades, it's a very broad project. My segment of the work, as well as the other 17 crafts, is very involved. And again, we respect the other crafts and we stay in our lane, and it's important for us. And that's what we do as union members.
There's a question in there a couple of questions in there, but I'll like to take the first one. How does the application process work? Am I allowed to share screen?
Yes, if you'd like to share it, go for it.
All right. So if you all want to take a look at this. This is the electrical how to apply, and that's our apprenticeship website, REJATC, Redwood Empire Electrical Training Center. And up here is the website. I put it in the chat also. And it says about us and their apprenticeship, how to apply. We take applications 4 times a year. We take it, if you figure on and split the year up into 4 quarters, we take it in the first month of each of those quarters. So January, April, July, and October. And then, so those are application days. And those days, what you need to bring it with you, you want to show up between 1 and 4 on the first Wednesday of the month. You want to bring with you high school diploma or GED. You also need to bring transcripts, high school transcripts. And the transcripts got to show math. And all of our mechanical trades anyway, we're all pretty similar. You need to have a C or better in high school math for 2 semesters. A C or better for 2 semesters, high school math. And then also finally you need a driver's license for the electricians. Again, I'll speak for it. You need a driver's license. We want to make sure you can get to work. So if you do those 3 items, you can show up on right over here on the first Wednesday of January, April, July, or October. And then just so happens that say a Wednesday falls on a 4th of July or 1st of January or something like that. If it falls on a holiday, it's going to, we're going to do it the very next day, the Thursday. So the next available day that we'll be able to work, because we don't work on holidays. So let's just say you apply, you have everything you need, and you apply and you make it. So you walk into the director, train director, his name is Rob Barcy. I'll show you his contact information here in a second. So you walk in there, you apply, then what's next? Our next steps are you test. So like I said, we do this 4 times a year. So each quarter, each month, in the 12 months, they have something to do. So the first month of the quarter, the January, the April, the July, and October, we will take applications. The second month, we're going to test you. And the test is going to be on math and English, basically. And so you're going to test it on the math and English. And if you pass the test, then you get to interview. That's the 3rd month. So we repeat that, 4 times a year, or 3 times a year, we'll repeat it. So that's our application process. Hopefully that answered your question. Now you have to pass the test to get to interview. And then when you get interviewed, there's a whole bunch of questions that you're going to get asked and everybody else is going to get asked on an interview day. And if you guys have any questions on that, I can go into it further. Frank, there's a good question there for the trades. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, the 18, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a list of the 18 crafts, but there are roughly 18 crafts that it takes to build any building you see, whether it's a small building or a high rise. There's 18 crafts in there. And they include the carpenters, and these are separate crafts as I just kind of list them off. The carpenters, the rug layers, the drywall. Those are the guys that put up the sheetrock and tape it. The ceiling contractor, that's all he does is install ceilings. The elevator operator or the elevator contractor, that's all he does is install elevator systems. The glazer, that's all they do is put in the windows. Iron workers do all the heavy iron within the building structure to hold it up before the concrete guy rolls in. Sheet metal mechanic does sheet metal and all. They distribute the air throughout the building. I will install a boiler and make hot air. They distribute that hot air through the building with their ductwork. Sprinkler fitters, they install sprinkler systems, a wide variety of sprinkler systems. I've been over to the sprinkler union school over in Hayward. They have a very, very, very beautiful school, and they have a testing room where they can test 100 different types of sprinkler heads, for example, and it's part of the training that the sprinkler fitters go through. And you can stand outside this glass wall and watch all the different systems come on and off. And there's a different system for every application. There's a system over a stove. There's a system in a work environment. There's a system in an automotive shop. So those are maybe 10 crafts that I mentioned, and I don't have the full list of crafts. There's laborers, which is a very general craft, and they tend to support the other crafts, whether it's digging dirt or maybe walking behind a bulldozer and kind of doing some layout or some help with the bulldozers that are doing the site work or moving dirt to erect a building. So if there's some interest, we can put together a complete and comprehensive list of the other crafts with some contact information. In fact, what John and I belong to is the building trades, and that's the group of 18 crafts that get together, and we call ourselves the North Bay Building and Construction Trades Council. And we could put together a very comprehensive list with a contact person next to each one of those crafts and put it out so that you guys can share it, and then you can kind of see what I've been referring to. You'd be happy to do that if you'd like. One, you guys, there's
Great,
gotta be a good
thank you. Another one of the ones that we had gotten before was, do you have any interview tips or anything that you can share about the interview process that might be helpful for students who are new to the workforce, especially?
Soft skills, John, it's all you.
Absolutely. We do interviews every quarter, and there are a lot of fine young men and women that make it to the interview stage and just freeze. They just freeze, unfortunately. Good people, but just forget who they are and what skill set they bring to the table right off the bat at that moment because they get nervous. So there's real good things to remember when you're going to interview is that you're not supposed to know anything about, if you're coming to be an electrician. We don't expect you to be an electrician coming in to interview for the apprenticeship. We just expect you to be able to communicate. So tell us who you are, listen to the questions and answer those questions. If it's an electrician that you want to be, I would suggest that you do some research because maybe you hate digging. You saw the video, there's a lot of folks out there wearing mud boots, rubber boots and walking around a job site. The guy talked about being in a manhole there for 5 hours. That might not be your cup of tea, so watch this video. That video that you watched there is on our website, the website that's posted right here. If you have any questions on that, you can always get a hold of me. I'm very easy to get a hold of. But I would say do a lot of research as far as why you want to be an electrician. The second part is, there's you already have a lot of strong attributes already, just getting to this point. Believe in yourself. It's important to believe in you. And, you bring a lot to the table. You're young, you're energetic. This is what you want to do. And we want you to want to be, into trades, because at some point, myself and Frank are going to be gone. We're going to be retired. And there's got to be other folks that want to do what we do, stepping up and learning the trades. But like Frank said, soft skills are huge. You have to know how to get to work on time. There is no 7:05. If it's a 7 o'clock start time, that means you're there ready to go to work at 7 o'clock or a little bit beforehand. You know, you don't want to be rolling there afterwards thinking that it's okay regularly, because you'll be gone. The guy in the video said it. You know, you show up at 10 after 7, you might as well go home. So that's how it is in the construction world. You know, everybody's there, everybody's expected to pull their weight, and it's really important. The interview process, I would again circle back to believe in who you are. You know why you want to do that particular trade, whatever interview you're in at that moment, and you know, doing your research is huge. You know, because you'll be asked a question. If you come to our interview session, you're going to be asked the question, why do you want to be an electrician? And if you don't know the answer to that question, then we're just thinking you're knocking on doors, and there's another door next that you're going to go try. If you want to be an electrician, it's really important to know why you want to be an electrician and sell yourself. It's important. Believe in yourself and sell that. I think that that's some stuff that we look for anyway. There's probably more, you know, but it might come up. Frank?
Yeah, it's important to remember that the building trades are not a dumping ground for folks that just are saying, "Oh, the heck with it. I'm just gonna get into a craft." It's not at all. In saying that, depending on your skill level, you can affiliate yourself with some of the more non-skilled trades, if that's more your suit, or go right on up to two of the more highly skilled trades, which is the electricians and the plumbers. They all have different requirements. Some don't require any proof of graduation from high school or equivalency. We all have different we all have different requirements for taking our tests and getting into our unions. We can provide that as well. There was a question that I typed a response to, and the question to me was, I would love to have a list of these other crafts. In addition to the list, I can maybe we can include some of the requirements that some of these crafts require for you guys to get in. So it's whatever skill level you want. My craft and our test, my test, for example, my entrance exam test is there's a lot of easy peasy stuff. Is this vertical ladder safe to climb? Well, it's probably not. If you lay it down a little bit, it's a lot easier to climb. A lot of common sense stuff, which is stuff that people breeze through and very easily answer correctly on our test. The stuff that's required in my craft, as well as the other skilled crafts, as well as John's, there is some math. I don't go to work every day as a steam fitter, which was my craft before I began this business agent position. Didn't go to work every day doing heavy volumes of math, but there were definitely certain things throughout the day that required an ability to do some algebra and some geometry. And it's important to understand that. And certainly if you have a good math ability, it would really help you in our entrance exam, as well as getting into the crafts. A good math background is terrific. And again, right on down the list, down to the unskilled basic crafts, rather, not unskilled, but basic crafts. There's not a lot of requirement for that. So there's a selection that you have that you can choose from based on your skill level and your comfort level. So we'll find a way to get the list and some of those requirements sent back to you guys. So math is important. I know most of you folks that are listening are seniors in high school, and I was surprised how much the math that I learned in high school and college was, and how fun it was to apply it in the field. And the beauty of our crafts in my training facility, as well as John's, is that there's so much that's hands-on. We do have classrooms, but we have labs. We have a full welding shop here. We have HVAC labs out back. I'm building a new one as we speak. So many of the folks that are attracted to the building trades are hands-on folks, and that's not a commentary on their ability to do complicated math projects or anything like that. It's simply a lot of folks are attracted to because they want to build things, and when they're kind of that oriented, when you're in our training facility and you're back there actually hands-on a boiler, understanding the water levels and what makes a boiler work and boiler controls and all, when you got hands-on, which we have here, it's really, really, really effective. It really sinks in, and I'm one of those guys. To have the training that we have here, the hands-on stuff is super, super important. So
We have another question. I'll take the first one. I'll let you take the second one, Frank. It's all over you, buddy. So potential job outlook for the trades. Is there a greater need in specific trades? As far as specific, not sure, on that, because, in the electrical industry, I'm sure is absolutely blowing up, because as there's mandates now for all electrical, and things are going electrical. So it is definitely blowing up. But we've taken a look over the next few years of what is coming in construction in Marin and Sonoma counties, because we primarily, work in those two counties. And there's over $9 billion dollars worth of work coming to Marin and Sonoma counties. And that's a lot of work, construction work. So all trades are going to be needed, basically. But so if anybody was thinking of getting into a trade, it's a case of which one do you like the best? And then try and do some research on it, and then see if that's for you. And one thing we'd probably even throw out there is there are projects going on right now in around our jurisdictions, and maybe we could do a field trip, and get some hard hats and take some of you guys out to a field trip and show you what it's like on a construction site. That would be probably a fun outing to do. I think that would be very eventful. So as far as what industries, you should choose, and whatever you choose, then lock it in. And that would be, again, doing the research on it and lock it in. One thing we haven't touched on is women in the trades, because everybody thinks it's only men in the trades. That's not the case. You saw the video, you saw a young lady on the video, and she's telling her story. And anybody who wants to work can be in the trades, basically. Anybody who wants to go to work and just work hard. And women and men make the same dollar amount, no matter, what you're doing. So in our process in the electrical, there's 10 steps in the apprenticeship. So if you're on step 3, then, and there's a guy and a gal in the same class, and they're both on step 3, they're both making the same money. There's no difference in pay. In ours too, last year or the year before, I think it was, our top apprentice was, a young lady, Stephanie. And we have a couple of apprentices right now in our apprenticeship program that are ladies too, that are thriving. So the trades is for everybody. It's just dominated by men for sure, but the trades are for everybody. There's certain, if you're a young lady and you're thinking that I'd like to do that, then you could. Why couldn't you? Why couldn't it be you? Frank?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that as well. I'll add to his before I answer the next question about welding. I do know, and I'm not here soliciting you folks to get into my craft. I'm simply here to give you kind of an overview of the potential that's out there within the building trades. And I want you to understand that when I say I do know my sweet spot in my craft is HVACR, and that's heating, ventilating, air conditioning, refrigeration. And to my knowledge, it's the single fastest growth sector within construction. And it's the sweet spot in my world. When I get somebody that comes in that looks like they might, and they act like they might, and they have background like they might be successful in HVAC-R, I'm really the guy that promotes that. It requires a little bit more of you. It requires you to be a little bit more clean cut, because you'll probably be working in occupied spaces where your behavior and your dress does matter a lot more so than a construction high rise where you've got a hard hat and a big jacket. Your performance isn't really based on how you present yourself on a construction job in that way. There's a lot more required of you as an HVACR mechanic, a little bit more cerebral, a little bit more looking at a complex thermostat, for example, and trying to decide why the heating unit on the roof isn't working, and then communicating with the building manager, finding your way up onto the roof, opening up the panel and looking at the mechanical end of things to try to decide why it's not working. It's a great spot to go. It's driven by technology, so every day it seems to change. The more technology advances, the more it's imposed on HVACR, as well as the green requirements that we're trying to keep this world from dying. So there's a large requirement on the heating and air conditioning systems to be as efficient as they possibly can be. Two very important things that make that craft change, it seems like every day. So it's a challenging craft. Plumbing, with all due respect, it's kind of based on gravity. It hasn't really changed much since somebody invented gravity. I'm being very simplistic when I say that, but in opposition to that, the HVACR trade changes with science, and it's just a great place to be if you kind of like getting your head into the game like that. That was kind of an add-on to John's answer.
Is that a 5-year apprenticeship too, Frank?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. They're all 5-year apprenticeships, and it does kind of dovetail into the question about welding. We do not have a welding apprenticeship. If you want to come in as a steam fitter, plumber, HVACR mechanic, you can learn the welding craft while you're going to school as an apprentice. We do not have a 5-year apprenticeship for welders. There are welders in other locals and other parts of the country that will give you training to be a welder, but it's not based on a 5-year apprenticeship. You basically need, from day one, if you're reasonably competent, it'll take you about 2,000 hours under your hood welding to master arc welding. And there's also metal inert gas welding, which is MIG, and tungsten inert gas welding, which is TIG. And then there's orbital, and there's all these other facets. But a basic welder to weld competently to my standard, our standard in the United Association, which is our mothership, it takes a good solid 2,000 hours of very serious training to become a competent welder. And then you're in this local union, you're then certified. You're given a certification on a United Association standard, which is the highest standard there is. When you're done training here, you could go to a nuclear research facility and be able to do any of the welding that's required in that facility. So it goes to show the level of training that we have. And after all, the only thing that separates me from a minimum wage or $20 an hour wage is our training. So we train to a very high standard because we're paid good money, and our folks need to be on that level. And I'll expand that just one more minute. Is we welcome all level of the folks that maybe passed the test at 70% versus some of the folks that may have passed. Excuse me, I could not stop that one. That may have passed at 100%. It's really all about, once you get into the local, it's really all about giving 100%. That doesn't mean running. It simply means being on it 100%. 100% of your effort should be focused on doing the proper job, so that the owner of your company walks away from that job site making a little bit of money. I want to make sure that the employer that employs me is very happy with me, and I want him on the biggest house on top of the hill, so that he continues to pay me my relatively very high wage. If you give 100% every day, and again, that doesn't mean run, it just means be there, be mature, and engage in your trade, whether it's here in the apprenticeship school or on the job site. If you give your version of 100%, I guarantee you're going to have a stellar career. I guarantee it.
Thank you. You guys, I think, briefly sort of mentioned this, but could you just let everybody know, are the apprenticeships, when people are apprenticing, paid? Do they get paid for that time?
Go ahead, John.
Yes, the answer is yes. So yeah, again, go through the process with us. You apply, you test, you interview, and then you're placed onto a list once you're interviewed. And then that's the ranking list, we call it. And as contractors call in, and usually start calling in around this time of year, around spring, saying, okay, we're looking at these jobs, we need this manpower. And they start asking for apprentices. They want to add to their crews. They start asking for apprentices and journeymen. We have lists for both. And once the existing apprentices, that list is exhausted, then we go to the ranking list. And then we start pulling people off the ranking list to, fill the manpower calls. And that's when we start calling up, say this class here, all interviewed and they all scored. We would be calling people out of this class and saying, okay, so hi, Mike. Hi, Terry. You've asked a couple of questions. I'm going to give it to you. So what do you think? Is this still what you want to do? And you're going to go, heck yeah. So, all right. So are you working right now? And you're going to say, I am working, or I'm not working. Let's go with I am working. So, all right, Terry, go ahead and give 2 weeks notice, and then we'll see you in 2 weeks. The job is waiting for you. And you're going to go, great. Do I have to give 2 weeks notice, or can I start tomorrow? Tomorrow, it's ready for you tomorrow. We're allowing you to give 2 weeks notice. So you're going to go to work right away, working on a job site, and school might not have started yet. So you might be going to work in April, and school will actually start for you in somewhere around September. We follow the junior college schedule, and so we do. School is like this. If you make it into school, school is a week of day school, like a regular work day. 7 a.m. in the morning you start, 3:30 in the afternoon you're out, and that's Monday through Friday. 1 week of that, and that's about, you do 2 weeks of that in the first semester, 2 weeks of that in the second semester. So the first week will be in September, and about 7-8 weeks later it'll be the second week, and then you repeat that again in the second semester. And that's the school. That's what it looks like. So when you're not in school and you are working for a contractor, you're earning a wage, and that wage is posted. You know, so if you're wondering how much could I make being an electrician around here, how much could I make being a plumber around there, it's posted, it's online. You can actually go there and see what it is, because it's called the prevailing wage. You know, so our trades, we actually write the prevailing wage laws and the wages anyway. So if you want to see how much an electrician's making, or a plumber's making, or carpenter's making, or anybody else is making, you can go right to the website on the state of California and pop that open and just take a look and see. Just follow prevailing wages, and then, you know, see which trade makes the most, and then see if that's how much would be okay with you. But yes, you do get paid when you're working, and so you should.
Yeah, and both John's and mine are pretty similar in that you don't need to know, on day one, you don't need to know how to open a tape measure. You really don't. It'd be handy if you did, but you're not required to know anything about the crafts when you first start. A good attitude and showing up a little bit early and giving 100% is all you're required. As time goes by, a little bit more is required of you. With my craft, and it's right next door to John's, you're starting out day one at about $26 an hour, and we have a benefit and fringe package on top of that, which means your medical and dental and your pension is on top of your taxable, which is for me roughly $26 an hour. So every 6 months in our craft, there's 10 periods to my craft. The first 6 months is one period. The second 6 months, or the second half of the school year, is the second period. So 5 times 2 is 10. There's 10 periods it takes to get through my apprenticeship. Every 6 months after you begin, provided you're working and working the minimum amount of hours or more, and provided you're turning in your work assignments at school, then every 6 months it's about a $3 an hour raise. Up until you're a journeyman, which is about up here in the North Bay, it's about $67 an hour on the taxable, and then there's a benefit package on top of that. So with every passing 6 months, a little bit more is required of you, and everybody should strive to be that journeyman. And then if you so desire, putting a little bit more effort in, you'll be a foreman as well. So it's kind of an overview there.
You want to take the next one, Frank?
Yeah, I hope I was clear on my apprenticeship. There was a comment that the electrician's apprenticeship was clear. I hope I was kind of clear with mine. Mine's very, very similar to John. What we test once every 2 years, and we were due to test last June because of the virus. We postponed it. We were hoping for this June. That's been bumped as well. So we're probably going to be testing late summer, early fall, something like that. I know the governor is going to release things significantly June 15th. So we're hoping late summer we'll have another test. You are required to be 18 or older. You are required for my test to have a high school diploma or the equivalent. And you then are required to go into San Francisco to our Market Street office and apply to take our exam. You're then given a date to come back, a date and a time to come back and test. Ordinarily, every 2 years, we'll test about 1,500 people. By the way, my jurisdiction, which is every union has a jurisdiction. That's an area that I operate in. That's an area that the prevailing wage, that's an area that my wage applies to. When you go outside of my jurisdiction, my wage doesn't apply there. There's another union next door to me where that applies. My jurisdiction is San Francisco, Marin, Sonoma, Lake, and Mendocino counties. So my wage applies if you're a union plumber or HVAC-R person. My wage applies throughout all of those counties. I'm the business rep up here in the North Bay. I'm the only business rep in the North Bay. I also sit in an office that's part of the school. So I'm very involved with the school as well. But my primary function is a business agent. I don't do this for a living. I represent my members and their interaction with their employers. If there's an issue with my member and their employer, I interject and I resolve the issues and I make sure that that everybody's good. And I said that because the heart and soul of my local is downtown San Francisco. So when you apply for the test, you're going to go down to San Francisco on our Market Street property, apply to the test, to take the test. You'll come back a month later and take a 2-hour test. And that's where it would be really handy if you guys brushed up on the at a minimum the first year algebra that that most of us have had in high school. But it's also known that you forget some of the math if you haven't done it in a while. So it would be smart to get online and study some of that stuff. So yeah, you come back, take the test, and if you pass 70% or more, then we bring you back for an oral interview, and then you're ranked just like John had mentioned. His folks are ranked.
Hi, I had something to add in that section there when you were talking about brushing up on algebra. So I'm Nancy Emanuele. I'm with Petaluma Adult School here in Petaluma, of course. And we have had a few calls over the years, I remember, for individuals who were looking to complete the apprenticeship programs and needed to pass an algebra standard and needed to brush up a little bit. So you can reach out to the adult school. We have some sort of math expert type folks that we can kind of create kind of a little special class for you. Each person's different in how much math they need to brush up on. So we can kind of assess where you are and what you need to do and you kind of create something for you. So if you are all set with algebra, fantastic. But if you find that you need to brush up those skills, you can definitely reach out to the adult school and we can see if we can support you in that.
Nancy, that's fantastic. I really appreciate you saying that, because up until this minute, I've really not known that resource was available up here. I love it.
I want to circle back to the apprenticeship availabilities question. So we've had a lot of folks figure a lot of stuff out before Google. And I want to take you back to before Google. And what we used to do back then is we'd get online. We'd get on the paper and just open the paper and see what is in our jurisdiction. It's a lot easier now with Google. So if you're looking to see, hey, I want to see what trades are near me, you can always type in Carpenter, Sonoma County, Carpenters Union, Sonoma County. And that office is down, in Corby Avenue. Carpenters Union in Marin County is in San Rafael. The Electrical Union, if you typed in Electrical Union, Sonoma County, that would give you my office, or Plumbers Union, that would give you Frank's office. But that's just another way to do it. You can actually find out a lot of this stuff yourself. You've given us some really good ideas though, because we are going to put together, a packet that's got all of the trades here in the North Bay that are affiliated with the North Bay building trades, and where their offices are, where their training facilities are, and what it takes to apply to get in. So we are going to put that together based on this meeting today. So I want to thank you for those questions. So, and again, you might be saying in this room, I don't want to ask that question. Please ask the question, because you're going to give us, who've been doing this for 100 years, you're going to give us ideas. And there's going to be other folks in the class with you saying, I'm really glad they asked that question because I didn't want to ask. So be brave, be a leader, be a foreman, forewoman, and go ahead and ask the question. It doesn't matter. We can't see you. It doesn't matter.
And also, if you guys, especially with John McIntyre in my trade school up here, if you randomly want to drop by or call me or knock on the front door, I'd be happy to give you a tour of our school. We sit on about 4 acres here, right on Santa Rosa Avenue, not too far from Freedman's, just up from Todd Road a little bit. But I could give you a quick tour through the school, let you take a look, and I welcome that. So it doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be done through a group. If you wanted to individually call me on the number provided, you're welcome to. If you wanted to just stop by and pound on my front door, I'd welcome you in as well. I wish I could really welcome you and shake your hand, but for the next couple of months, that's a little bit limited. But by and large, I encourage you guys to just spin on by, whether it's my apprenticeship or John McIntyre's. I'm not speaking for him, but you're welcome to come by and I'll give you a tour.
That's another question there from Sharon. You have speakers videos that are available to high school students so they're a realistic idea of what's expected in the trades. Yeah, there's like the video in front. You know, that's a day in the life of an apprentice electrician. And like Frank said, that could have been any trade, because that's a lot what it looks like when you're, you know, an early stage apprentice. You know, there's a lot of the same stuff that happens. But we've got a couple on our apprenticeship website. But here again, you could go to YouTube and type in union plumber, you know, type in union electrician, construction sites, and just kind of sit there for a little while and go through those kinds of videos, and it might give you a good idea. And then what Frank was just saying there, you know, run by his school, you know, give me a call. You know, we could definitely set something up like where it could be a field trip. And I think that would be a really good idea. If you're interested, seriously interested, then you contact your folks to put this together, who would contact us, and then we'll put together something, you know, and take you out to a job site just to show you what it's like on a real job site.
Yeah, I would. So we're very proud to say that we have the lead of our building trades up here is a woman, and she's the only building trades lead in the state of California, and she's a phenomenal talent. So John and I are both on the executive board within the building trades, and again, the building trades are made up of all the crafts. So we sit on the board, and we would. What I'd like to do is to bring it in front of the building trades and see if we can't put some additional information together that's kind of tailored for who we're talking to right now, and offer it up, and maybe even put it on our website, John. We're kind of developing things, and there's a lot of really good things going on within our building trades, and I'd like to make this and your good questions part of our general discussion within our building trades, and we'll see if we can't, either through you guys or simply put it on our website, offer you up some of the answers to the questions that I may not have an answer to. Being a guy that I'm kind of winging it talking to you guys. I'm a business rep, but I don't have all those fun little videos and stuff that I can offer up. But we can certainly put it together, and it would also include all of the other crafts as well. That might be really valuable for you folks.
Getting right to the end here. Is there any other questions?
Looks like we got one more in the Q&A. How can high school students get some pre-experience?
You know, let me jump in real first on that. It's as John and I have explained, it's not simply a matter of come on in and go to work the next day with our crafts. There's a bit of a process to it. What I've said to folks that are kind of thinking, maybe kind of sort of thinking about getting in the crafts, choose your craft and jump in. Ultimately, if you're going to make a serious commitment to it and have a career as a tradesperson, you really should get into a union. But in the meantime, jump in the deep end, go to work for a local contractor, see how you like it, go to a house and coffee park, see what craft, jump in as a laborer. Basically, that'd be pretty easy to be hired on as a body that's out there supporting the other crafts, and you can look at the other crafts and then decide which one interests you the most. Come to my front door, knock on my front door and say, I have a little experience because I did just what I explained. I'd be very much more interested in you, because it's obvious that you've taken this very seriously, and you've actually kind of jumped into that deep end of the pool. And you know, when you're asking me, I want to be a plumber, based on you trying the trade, I then know that you know what you're talking about. And you're, as John mentioned earlier, you're just not knocking on doors up and down the street hoping to get lucky on a job. You're more committed if you do something like that. And it's a good way to get into a craft, to kind of know more surely that the craft that you're interested in going through the process is the craft that you want to belong to.
Frank, you want to take that next one there? Sharon's jump in question.
Well, kind of what I just mentioned. I'm not sure if you sent the question before I had a chance to answer it, but that is my suggestion, is to just go to work locally with a contractor that may not be affiliated with a union. That's simply knocking on the door, and you're not going to be making the wage, you're not going to be having the benefits and things like that, but it'll certainly give you an opportunity to look into, if you're interested in looking at all the crafts in a small version, you could be a laborer for a general contractor, for example, And you would be supporting the other crafts on a home. A home that's being built in on a home. You're not going to see the elevator constructors. You're not going to see a ceiling contractor. You're not going to see some of the other crafts that are part of commercial work and high-rise work, but you will see the people doing the site work, the dozer operators. You'll see the people shooting the transits that are shooting grades. You'll see the folks that are doing the underground plumbing and electrical work that John and I do. You'll see the folks building the foundation, and then building the wood structure that makes up the home. Then the plumber rolls in and starts roughing in his plumbing. You'll see all of those, as well as the carpet layer and the drywall guy putting up the sheetrock. So it's an easy lift to jump in and do that, and then decide if you like it. If not, you'll know quickly. If you don't like getting up early and dealing with the weather, that's one thing that's kind of a deal breaker for some folks. You'll identify that early and save yourself some time and say, you know what, the building trades are really not for me. It's a good way to kind of test the water.
Or you might absolutely love it. And like Frank said, you just saw a trade. We have several people that come through our interview process that are just as Frank mentioned. They're on a job site, working in residential, literally just walked on the job site and kept asking people, do you have any work? Do you have any work? Do you have any work? Until somebody said, yes, I do. And they hire them. And then that person did what they needed to do to get to our interview process. They applied, they tested, they passed the test, then they got the interview. And then they were telling us, yeah, I'm working as labor. I love what the electricians are doing. I like the way that they pull the wire and then they terminate the ends and then they hit the switch and then the lights come on. That's really exciting. This is what I want to do. And those guys usually are successful because they worked through those stages that Frank mentioned and then laid it out pretty clearly to us at the interview panel.
Thank you both. We have hit the 4:30 mark, so we are out of time tonight, and it looks like we've hit all the questions, which is great.
Very good.
So we'll be wrapping that up. I think I've shared my screen with your guys' information again, so if anyone wants, you can take a screenshot of that, or this recording will be available later. We'll probably put it on the Petaluma City Schools website and share it out to the high school principals and counselors as well. Yeah, and there are some links in the chat as well. If you would like, you can also save the chat. If you don't know how to do that, if you're an attendee here today, you should be able to see 3 dots near the chat and save chat. If not, most of that information you can find also on these websites or by Googling, as John and Frank mentioned today. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.